Hi, Hassan.
Hi.
Gonna, I want to say, oh, my hearing is just getting a little off. Just want to say hi to Maylee and Jet. I know you can't be here today, so hello. So I'm curious, Hassan, if you have a highlight.
I have one.
Yeah? What is it?
Masquerade!
You've been waiting for this chapter, haven't you? You've
Okay, anyway, it's time for the ambassador to the enemy. Also, why don't we do a read aloud?
You ready for a read aloud today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? So yeah, I think I could read part of chapter 12 today. No problem.
Ew.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so for Maylee and Jet, even though you're not here, if you want to just say what your highlight is before you continue with the rest of the videos, you can do that too. And just so you know, if you want to send me your highlight, I can also post it. All right, here we go. Let's see if I owe Philip any money today. Hi, Philip. Oh,
Oh, did you see what I posted?
oh. Hey, I see the chat. Yes, Uncle Edmund. Oh, and so Maylee and Jet, if you go ahead and open the chat. Sometimes the students talk to me using the chat. Hi, Philip.
Hello.
So
I didn't
we,
have any time to read the chapters.
okay, because this was a lot happens in these chapters. A lot of stuff happens. Okay, but we'll talk about it and I'll do some reading at the end of class. I am waiting for Moana and I'm waiting for Ariana. So let me ask you this, Philip. What do you think the chapter name means for chapter 10? It's called Hooves in the Dark. What do you think that indicates? What was going on in the dark? What hooves would there be in the dark?
Robbers?
Oh, so what animal would be ridden at night that has hooves? Can you imagine a horse? Hearing a horse in the dark?
Yes.
Uh-huh. That would be kind of hard. I think it'd be really hard to to ride a horse in the dark. I mean, I'm sure there's some light because, the moonlight and the stars and all that, but it's really unusual for somebody to be riding in the dark. So something happened. Okay, and I see Hassan, you made a note. Um, Caddie whispered, I crossed my heart. And Ariana, you said Katie, not Caddie said that. Yeah, you're right. It was Katie who said that. But that was a really, oh my goodness, what a special thing that we heard. That was a really special whisper. Ariana, do you have a highlight that you want to put in chat or type in the annotate? Hi, Moana.
Yay! Everybody is here!
That's right. Yay. We're all here.
Okay, chameleon jets.
Oh.
Oh, just so everybody knows, Maylee and Jet have something else going on this Wednesday and next week. So I just said hello to them before everybody else arrived. Okay.
You said it when I arrived.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. You were here, Hassan. That's right. Let's see. Ariana, do you want to? I guess you might be typing right now. And Ariana's going to use the chat today. Okay, you got to give me a thumbs up. You're typing your highlight. Moana, were you able to do the reading?
Yeah.
Do you have a highlight about the hooves in the dark or the massacre?
I'm thinking.
Oh,
We don't even know if it actually happened. Maybe it means we're not doing a massacre.
ah,
He was going to go to tell John, but without telling her mom.
yes, Caddie does something else without telling her mother. Wow, does she do something pretty big? Yeah, she does. Okay, Ariana.
Sometimes Daddy, I mean Caddie is.
Okay, Philip, I don't know if you caught that, but Moana said Caddie goes tells Indy and John something without telling her mom. And this was sort of a really, really big thing that she did. We know that she sometimes goes off and does things without her mom
What?
knowing.
What? I never. What is this question? What is question 6?
What about question 6? We'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, you want me to see? You want to see it? Did I cover it up too much? Okay, so we have.
No, it's bad. I don't remember reading about that part.
Did I go? Wait a minute. Okay, let me just check to make sure. Okay, I'll take it off. All right, never mind. That will be for later. Okay, so we have the highlights and confusions. We've done those. We will go into our discussion questions. Your homework is to read chapters 12 and 13. And sometimes it's fun to look at the titles of the 12 and 13.
Ambassador to the enemy. Scout bout.
Ooh, the gruesome thing. Okay, so we have ambassadors to the enemy for chapter 12 and a scout belt in chapter 13. So we already know what a scout belt is. It's kind of a gruesome.
I think Indian John will come. I think what did you ask question 6? Was that from chapter 12?
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out what else happens. So the reading that you did had so much tension. Somebody comes at the night. Okay, well, before we get to that, let's go to number 1. What news upsets Caddie so much that she sobs unconsolably? Oh, or Moana.
Uncle Edmund lost Nia.
Yeah, and Caddie was not only sad um that Nero was gone, she was also really, really, really sad that the dog was unhappy in the city.
Yeah, and she also said, replace him with a puppy. Why?
Well, at least Uncle Evan was being nice about, well, I'm sorry the dog ran away and I'm sorry I couldn't find him, but when the next time I come back, I'll bring a puppy. And Caddie, I think she's so hurt that she lost her dog. I mean, that her dog is gone, really gone, missing, that she can't even be consoled with a new puppy. So, oh, poor Caddie. And I see, Ariana, you wrote your highlight in the chat. So let me read that. Caddie heard people planning to find and kill Indian John's tribe and went to warn them, riding a horse in the dark without telling anyone. But Katie saw her, so Caddie made her cross her heart. Oh, that's really lovely, Ariana. That's a really lovely, beautifully written highlight you wrote there. Thank you for that. And then Hassan says, I don't know how you did that, Hassan. You copied it and you typed it in? Goodness.
That's possible.
But I
You
added
can actually.
parentheses at the end.
Okay. Someone arrives. Now, Philip, this is what happened. Somebody arrives at the Woodlawn's house at night, and Mrs. Woodlawn gets her bonnet and gets ready. She thinks there's an emergency somewhere. She thinks somebody's hurt or somebody needs help because you usually don't
What
have
is
a
a
neighbor.
rumor and why are we problematic?
Yeah,
A rumor is something that may be true, and but that may not be true, but people are very aware about it.
yeah. And yeah, so it's a problem. Can somebody tell Philip what the rumor was? What was the rumor?
Masquerade.
There was a so Philip, what they heard was the Indians are going to massacre us. Massacre is a huge what do you call it? Bloodshed. It's just killing everybody. They actually had a massacre in that area about a year ago. So there's some reason, there's some valid reason why people would be scared, but Mr. Woodlawn is trying very hard to keep everybody calm. All the neighbors, not all of them, but some neighbors just left. They just left the whole area. They didn't want to deal with any of this. And many neighbors came to the Woodlawn to stay, to protect the children and women and the men who brought their guns. And there's this rumor. And of course, Caddie is very concerned about this. Now, what's silly? Caddie plays a prank. What does Caddie learn after she jokes around, making an Indian whoop, which is some kind of war cry? Maybe woo, 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 she makes that sound. She thought this would be
Because
funny.
no one got from their guns.
The men got their guns. It was not funny. It was really scary. I think Caddie learned
Well, for me, it was funny.
it was funny for us to read, but for the men, oh no, don't do that again. don't do that. That scared them. Okay. Oh no. Caddie overhears three men who say they have a plan. They say, well, we got to attack them before they attack us. We got to attack those Indians and kill them before they attack us. And they say, I don't care about Mr. Woodlawn. We're going to do it anyway. And Caddie hears this. Okay. Oh no, men are going to attack the Indians. Okay. Philip, what do you think Caddie did when she heard that some men wanted to go off on their own and kill Indian John's tribe?
Scared.
Really scared. Yeah. Somebody tell.
Maybe she will run and tell them.
That's exactly what she did. That's exactly what she did. She gets in a horse from the stable, and as she leaves, do you remember who Katie is?
Yes, it's
Katie,
the girl.
Yeah, Katie's the girl that really likes Tom, but she knows she's also very quiet. She sees Caddie leave, and there's a really beautiful moment between Katie and Caddie, and I'll read that to you in just a moment. That happens just before Caddie leaves. How would you describe?
Are there two people, Katie and Caddie?
Two different people, yeah. Katie's the one, I know their names are very similar, right? Katie's the one who got the Valentine's Day card from Tom.
Oh.
And Caddie was wondering, well, why does Tom give her the card when I do all these neat things with Tom? And it's just because Tom likes her. Maybe he has a little crush on her, on Katie. He liked the sister too, but he wanted to give the Valentine to Katie. So Katie's this quiet person, and Caddie was very protective of Tom's emotions and feelings, that even though she knew Tom was the one who gave the Valentine's Day card to Katie, she wouldn't tell anybody. So, oh, I like what you're doing there. Some of you are typing in activating the annotate, and you're putting some your own words in there, which is what I wanted you to do. How would you describe Caddie's willingness to warn Indian John? Caddie is what? Scared, unhappy, afraid. What else? To be able to do something like that. Now, she didn't just like go into a corner and say, I'm scared. She actually got on a horse and rode out into the woods when it was dark. What might be other angry, really good? What other emotions might she be having, or other kinds of words we describe? Somebody who actually, a child, an 11-year-old child getting on a horse to go into the woods when there's a lot of concern about a possible war. Sad. Do you know many people who would do that? Who would actually get up and go in the night? Yes? You know somebody? I think you said yes, Hassan. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think many people would do that. Ariana, what did you say, Philip?
I'm logging at night, not knowing where I'm walking.
Oh, okay. Ariana, do you have another description to describe Caddie that you could put in the chat? And Moana, do you have another description for Caddie?
Ready to warn the Indian John?
Her willingness to go out into the dark to go warn Indian John, yeah. Did you say she's bold to do something
No,
like
she's
that?
ready to do that.
She's ready to do that? Do you remember how her friend Maggie and that boy put his feet on Maggie's desk? Do you remember what Caddie did? What did she do? Go ahead, Moana.
He hit he hit
Hits his feet. Get her message was get those feet off my friend's desk. What was she doing for Maggie when she hit that boy's feet or leg who had his feet on her desk? She's standing up for her friend. Yeah. Is Caddie kind of standing up for Indian John? She kind of protecting her friend at school. She didn't just let her friend just suffer this. She protected her friend too. She took an action, and she's kind of protecting Indian John. I would say another word might be protective. Did I do that? Protective might be another one. Really good. So let me write these down so I don't forget. Scared, unhappy, afraid, angry, sad, ready, bold, protective. These are all ways you could probably describe Caddie and her willingness to go do this. Okay, so I want to read. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to read the a little bit of chapter 13, and we'll discuss this thing about the
Chapter
cat.
12.
Chapter 11. I meant chapter 11, and then
Yeah,
I'll read chapter 12.
You already read that.
I did. You're right. But I wanted to read this little part about Katie. So Philip, here I'm going to read you this part about Katie. Oh, Um, so Philip, do you remember when I said Katie saw Caddie getting ready to leave? Caddie doesn't
Oh,
want,
yes.
yeah, and Caddie doesn't want Katie to tell anybody. So she says, and Katie begs her not to go. Katie is scared that Caddie's going to get hurt, that she's going to get lost, that she might get killed because there's this war out there. And then Caddie says, I've got to, said Caddie grimly. They must have a chance to get away. Don't tell a soul where I've gone, Katie. Cross your heart. Katie hesitated, her eyes wide with terror. Caddie had always been the leader at school. It was impossible for gentle Katie to disobey her. Her fingers made a feeble crisscross in the direction of her heart. Cross my heart, Katie whispered. Caddie flung herself on Betsy's back, the horse, and dug her heels into her flanks. She was away across the field and into the dripping wood. The gray mist was turning into a fine rain. There was still snow on the wood. There was still snow in the wood, and there would still be ice on the river. Katie shivered. She closed the small barn door and stood still with both hands pressed against her heart. Now, this part I thought was really interesting. An old cat who had kittens in the loft came by on a noiseless feet, a dead mouse hanging from her
Who
mouth.
is Katie again?
She's the girl that Tom liked and gave her the Valentine's Day card to.
Oh, yeah, right.
She stared back, her own eyes round with fear. I cross my heart, she whispered. Okay, so I just thought that was just a really, here's Katie. She is really, really afraid for Caddie. But this very interesting moment where a cat with a mouse
But who's the
shows up.
ambassador to the enemy?
So why, here's my question for you. Why, 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 okay, so the author left us with this impression of this mother cat with a mouse hanging from its mouth. What does this cat have to do with Caddie?
I will say that the cat means Caddie, and I think the mouse is the three men.
Okay, okay, good thinking. Moana, what's your idea?
I think the mouse is Caddie, and what she's thinking is the cat is like Caddie, and the Indian is the cat.
Like,
I mean, the mouse is cat.
interesting that that's the fear, right? That's the fear. I guess that's more about Katie than Caddie. Katie's the one who's really afraid for Caddie. Like she's going to get caught and get hurt. And Ariana, you wrote in the chat, adventurous. That's how you would describe Caddie. And then you say, I would do what Caddie did. Whoa. And then you follow that with, I absolutely do not know anybody else who would. Wow. Well, I would love to have you as my friend, Ariana, if you're willing to be that protective. That would be an awesome trait to have in a friend. Whoa, that's really nice.
And I don't think there's Indians where you
Now let's read the ambassador to the enemy.
Okay, ambassador to the enemy. Okay. Oh, and Ariana also shares her thought about what does the cat and the mouse mean. The cat is the white man and the mouse is the Indian. Oh, that's another idea. That's, yeah, you guys are really good at kind of making these parallels. The author put that in there for a reason. And without telling us, she's saying, watch out, be careful, danger, right? By using this little image of a cat with a mouse. It's really interesting that the author did that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start reading chapter 12. And Philip, would you like to read along with me on chapter 12? Yeah. Okay. So if you want to get your book, You're going to open it up to page 131.
I already have it.
Okay. Does anybody need to get their book? No, you just want to listen. Ambassador to the enemy. An ambassador. Mhm. So an ambassador is somebody who's going to go and talk. Like if there's two countries at war, you might send somebody from one country to go and talk to the other country, not to fight, but just talk. So that's what an ambassador does. And ambassadors don't have to be over war. They could just be just two countries working on a problem together. It doesn't have to be about war. So ambassador to the enemy, we know that that means the ambassador is Caddie. She's going to the so-called enemy. Clip, clop, clip, the sounds of Betsy's hoofs across the field. There was a treacherous slime of mud on the surface, but underneath the clods were still frozen as hard as iron. Then the bare branches of the woods were all around them, and Caddie had to duck the dodge to save her eyes and her hair. Here in February thaw had not succeeded in clearing the snow. It stretched gray and dreary underfoot, treacherously rotted about the roots of big trees. Caddie slowed her mare's pace and guided her carefully now. She did not want to lose precious time in floundering about in melting snow. Straight for the river she went. If the ice still held, she can get across here, and the going would be easier on the other side. Okay, remember how Caddie and her brothers walked across the river with Tom swimming. So now she's walking across the river because it's frozen. Not a squirrel or a bird stirred in the woods. So silent, so silent. Only the clip-clop of Betsy's hooves. Then the river stretched out before her, long expanse of blue-gray ice under the gray sky. Carefully now, Betsy. Take it slowly, old girl. Caddie held a tight rein with one hand and stroked the horse's neck with the other. That's a good girl. Take it slowly. Down the bank they went, delicately onto the ice. Betsy flung up her head, her nostrils distended. Her hind legs slipped on the ice, and for a quivering instant she struggled for balance. Then she found her pace. Slowly, cautiously, she went daintily forward, picking her way, but with a snort of disapproval for the wisdom of her young mistress. The ice creaked, but it was still sound enough to bear their weight. They reached the other side and scrambled up the bank. Well, so much done. Now for the woods. There was no proper sunset that day, only a sudden lemon-colored rift in the clouds in the west. Then the clouds closed altogether into darkness and began to fall. The ride was long, but at last it was over. Blue with cold, Caddie rode into the clearing where the Indians had built their winter huts. Dogs ran at her, barking, and there was a warm smell of smoke in the air. A fire was blazing in the center of the clearing. Dark figures moved about it. Were they in a war paint and feathers? Caddie's heart pounded as she drew Betsy to a stop. But no, surely they were only old women bending over cooking pots. The running figures were children, coming now to swarm about her. There was no war paint, no feathers. Surely she and father had been right. Tears began to trickle down Caddie's cold cheeks. Now the men were coming out of the bark huts. More and more Indians kept coming towards her, but they were not angry, only full of wonder. John, said Caddie in a strange little voice, which she hardly recognized as hers. Where is John? I must see John. John, repeated the Indians, recognizing the name the white men had given to one of their braves. They spoke with strange sounds among themselves. Then one of them went running. Caddie sat on her horse, half dazed, cold to the bone, but happy inside. The Indians were not on the warpath. They were not preparing an attack. Whatever tribes further west might be plotting, these Indians, whom father and she trusted, were going about their business peacefully. If they could only get away now in time before the white men came to kill them. Or perhaps she could get home again in time to stop the white men from making the attack. Would those men whom she'd heard talking by the cellar door believe a little girl when she told them that Indian John's tribe was at peace? She did not know. Savages were savages, but what could one expect of a civilized man who plotted massacre? Indian John's tall figure came towards her from one of the huts. His step was unhurried and his eyes were unsurprised. You lost, Missy Red Hair? He inquired. No, no, said Caddie. I'm not lost, John, but I must tell you, some white men are coming to kill you, and you and your people must go away. You must not fight. You must go away. I have told you. You cold, said John. He lifted Caddie off the horse and led her to the fire. No understand, said John, shaking his head in perplexity. Speak too quick, Missy Red Hair. Caddie tried again, speaking more slowly. I came to tell you, some bad men wish to kill you and your people. You must go away, John. My father is your friend. I came to warn you. Redbeard, he send? Asked John. No, my father did not send me, said Caddie. No one knows that I have come. You must take your people and go away. You hungry? John asked her, and mutely Caddie nodded her head. Tears were running again, and her teeth were chattering. John spoke to the squaws standing motionless about the fire. Instantly they moved to do his bidding. One spread a buffalo skin for her to sit on. Another ladled something hot and tasty into a cup without a handle, a cup which had doubtless come from some settler's cabin. Caddie grasped the hot cup between her hands and drank. A little trickle of warmth seemed to go all over her body. She stretched her hands to the fire. Her tears stopped running and her teeth stopped chattering. She let the Indian children who had come up behind her touch her hair without flicking it away from them. John's dog came and lay down near her, wagging his tail. You tell John again, said John, squatting beside her in the firelight. Caddie began slowly. She told how the whites had heard that the Indians were coming to kill. She told how her father and she had not believed. She told how some of the people had become restless and planned to attack the Indians first. She begged John to go away with his tribe while there was still time. When she had finished, John grunted and continued to sit on, looking into the fire. She did not know whether he had yet understood her. All about the fire were row on row of dark faces, looking at her steadily, with wonder but no understanding. John knew more English than any of them, and yet it seemed he did not understand. Patiently she began again to explain. But now John shook his head. He rose and stood tall in the firelight above the little white girl. You come, he said. Caddie rose uncertainly. She saw that it was quite dark now outside the ring of firelight, and a fine sharp sleet was hissing down onto the fire. John spoke in his own tongue to the Indians. What he was telling them she could not say, but their faces did not change. One ran to lead Betsy to the fire, and another brought a spotted Indian pony that had been tethered at the edge of the clearing. Now we go, said the Indian. I will go back alone, said Caddie, speaking distinctly. You and your people must make ready to travel westward. Red Hair has spoken, said John. John's people go tomorrow. He lifted her onto her horse's back and sprang onto the pony. Caddie was frightened again, frightened of the dark and cold, and uncertain of what John meant to do. I can go alone, John, she said. John, go too, said the Indian. He turned his pony into the faint wood trail by which she had come. And now I'm going to stop. And you're going to find out what John's going to do with Caddie in the woods. So finish chapter 12 and read chapter 13 for Friday. Bye, everybody. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.
Mhm.